Hello and welcome to my second Satellite Clubs episode. It's been a long time coming. Those that watched the first one with Barnsley will remember the great success we had. Just to briefly kind of run over what I'm trying to achieve. Effectively, all the clubs under the ownership of the Paul Conway Pacific Media Group, I think it's called, I've started a save with, giving myself 5 seasons using only a spreadsheet that I've helped develop, coming from an original idea from someone on the Sports Interactive forums called Shaun. We'll give him a mention again now. I do finally plan on releasing the video just on the spreadsheet itself, coming up very soon, so keep an eye out for that if you are interested. Obviously I'm using the same tactic with each team and just really seeing how far I can get, simulating the entire 5 seasons, making signings obviously in each window where possible, just to basically see how we got on. Barnsley was a great success, far more success than I ever imagined, taking them from the Championship all the way up to winning the Champions League in Season 5, which is incredible really. So Nancy is the next team on the list. Obviously it's starting the second division of France. So I went ahead and did the same thing and we'll see how we got on. I'll go over each season's business, kind of discuss it a little bit, show you where we ended up and what have you. Obviously going forward I think I'm going to change the format of the episodes a little bit, where I will kind of maybe film it each season and put it all together at the end of each season, should I share. I think I've got some footage on Ostend still to upload though, so it may come after the Ostend, but we'll dive in. Obviously this is what Nancy start with. They've got a few people in on loan, obviously due to the Trot is unrelated, he's on loan from West Ham, but due to the deal they've got with, obviously connected with Ostend, they've got Basila in on loan from Ostend, they've got Bianda in on loan from Roma, but he spent the season at Zoot Waregem last year. They've got Diawale again from Ostend, Bobichon from Angers in on loan, Mamadou Fiam again from Ostend, but obviously he's played for Barnsley, who signed him from Dijon, so you can start to see the kind of move the clubs are making. Biron is in on loan from Ostend, but again he spent a season at Nancy and then Ostend signed him, so again that's just kind of getting around transferring assets about. And Andrew Young again, Ostend, after spending his career in France. So you can obviously see how Ostend seems to be the one that's making the signings and then distributing them to Nancy. Obviously Barnsley now in League 1 in real life. Elliot Simons is obviously a former Barnsley player also, from FC United as well. Nancy undisclosed fee for him. And yeah, this is just basically the squad they start with. They're obviously happy with mid-table, eventually want promotion, you know, all simplish stuff. Very poor junior coaching, very poor youth recruitment, decent training and youth facilities, I will give them that. That's obviously the stadium, that's a success. Financially, got about 3 mil in the bank, so nothing too bad. I mean, they've got an okay squad. Best player, probably one of these two. It's not the youngest. I mean, they've got a lot in on loan that are young, but they've also got a lot that are quite aged permanently. So obviously some cosmetic work that are needed, I'd feel. But yeah, so this basically is how I started with Nancy. This is just a new save, just exactly how they started, and just wanted to show you first, and then when you join me back we'll review the first season I had there on my save. So this was my first season in charge of Nancy. This is how we got on. Obviously won the league as champions quite impressively, straight up, straight into Syria. Silly me. Straight into League One, should I say. I apologise for that. Interesting road days and Rouen went down. Anyway, so that's how the table went down. Obviously quite an impressive amount of wins. Give me a second. That's the fixtures we had that season. Obviously quite a reasonable pre-season. Started off fairly okay, went a bit poor, and then just found a bit of consistency in November and December, and then obviously we're winning a lot more than we're losing, and went up at a bit of a canter really in that first season. So obviously first window we didn't really do any business, didn't have any money. Basically these are all just youth recruitment that came through, so we'll dive straight into the first season of recruitment I had, in which I spent 2.7 million. This is my first season in League One. Morale Sia from Horoya, check him out. He's still at the club. This is what he's looking like at age 27. Obviously he's been quite the asset for me over the 4 or 5 years. He's been fairly consistent. He's improved the past couple of seasons. Last year he didn't get much game time, but he didn't get much game time in 23-24, but he was an okay player. For 50 grand for that first season, I think he was very good value for money. That's the first signing I made. This chap, since been sold on. Made a bit of a profit on him. First season again, came in at an absolute steal of a fee. Did okay, very very good value for money. Sold him back to Brazil for a nice bit of profit because he wanted to leave, understandably. This is what he looks like. Again, okay, nothing spectacular, but he certainly was a good player that for a time did a good job for me. Was there Lara, not Real Union. Came in for 125, had a very good first season, an okay second season, and then I knew his contract was coming up and I didn't really want to renew the money, so I sent him on loan to second division. Did okay and then let him go for free, and he's gone to Real Union. Had a good season, to be fair to him, but I just think the team outgrew him. He was quite a good prospect when he came, but I managed to get better players down the line. But I certainly don't, again, fairly cheap, good value for money at the time, did a good job for me. This chap's again still at the club, Borja Garces. Anyway, I had to spend a bit of money to get him first season, but look at the goals he scored. Arguably that's justified for me. I spent 275 grand to secure the loan. Got him back for a second season. Was mildly disappointing, but his contract were up at Atletico. Decided to pick him up on a free. Was basically back up last season, and again a case of where I've kind of the squad has outgrown him. So off to Cordoba he went, and again he's done alright though back in Spain, and I'll probably look to sell. Well, obviously the 5 years are up, but I would obviously be looking to sell him or move him back on again on loan because he's not going to fit into the mould I had, but obviously for a time he certainly did a good job for me. Another chap, he was my number one for quite a long period. 76 caps for Tanzania, 30 grand paid. I say he was my number one, he's obviously been my backup with those kind of appearances. When called upon he's done okay. That looks a bit 14 conceded in 5's a bit worrying, but he's barely seen the pitch and he's been admirable as a backup for 4 years for 30 grand again. It's pennies really if you think about the money in football these days. Was really happy with that. Not much to say really about him. Bruno Gomez, I was a little disappointed in the way he left because I didn't recoup any kind of money I'd paid. He left on a free. It was quite disappointing for the 125 grand spent, if I'm honest, but that's recruitment. You win some, you lose some. He came in and was one of my first choice strikers in that first season. Since gone back to Brazil, good luck to him. Moses Ogier has just left to go back to Ghana. I signed him from Palmario in Series C after a good season. Again, for 200 grand, was fairly consistent. Didn't start off great, but improved. Again, I've since got better players, so I didn't renew his deal, and he's gone off back to Ghana. Hearts of York, who he spent a long spell on in his career. Good luck to him also. Iban Salvador was incredibly disappointed in this one. Spent a very significant amount of money at the time on him. Failed to perform. Couldn't get him off the books on a very large wage. He was on 10 grand, which again seems silly, but that's recruitment. You gamble. Sometimes you get it right, sometimes you don't. And again, he's been released, so I made nothing back off that investment. Poor investment, but again, that's the way it goes. Fabrice Ngoma, again another one. Just gone back to Congo on a free after I signed him from Morocco for 160 grand. Very good player, again for the money, consistent enough. Just didn't fancy renewing his deal, and he's gone back to Congo again. Good luck to the guy, happy with that one. This one was quite a good bit of business in my opinion. You'll notice though, if you've got sharp eyes, he's now on the transfer list. That's because I'm going to sell him because his deal's up in 12 months. He's just off the back of his most successful season. And I've got very, very good regions coming through. So I think he's got a deal going through for about 2.2 million. I paid 150 grand from Grenoble. Very, very good bit of business. And in one swoop, it's paid for all the failed gambles that I took earlier. I've all mentioned. Very happy with his signing. Very good player. Was quite a gem again unearthed by the spreadsheet. That's where all the recruitments come from. All backed by the spreadsheet and all. But this is how it comes out. That's the only reason he's surplus to reply and he's getting sold, just purely because his deal's up. And I don't want to renew. Like, that's a hefty wage, and I've got good prospects coming through. I'd rather give them the game time. But he's served me well. Sanuku Labali, I think has since been moved on. He was a good option for me for 3 years. Didn't play as much in the second season. Played a bit more in the last season we had him. First season he wasn't the best, but we were in transition. Was okay. Obviously his contract ran out, so we went on a free. I didn't make any money back on it. This was the keeper I was referring to that was first choice for a while. That's an incredible amount of goals to concede. 6.94 average rating indicates he can't have been playing too bad. 50 grand after Dijon had paid 1.8 mil 2 seasons earlier, and then I've sent him back to the second division with Sochaux. So he certainly was solid enough for me when required. Since improved on him. Kelibu Sidibe, struggling with pronunciations today. Made a very nice profit on him. Paid 40 grand from Toulouse. Had an okay first season. Didn't really play after that. Took 500 grand for him. More than 1,000% up. Yeah, I think more than 1,000% up, Mike. There, 100% would obviously be selling him for 80 grand. Again, good business. These are all regions, I think, and the last bit of business again. Steep investment, 925 grand, was the midfielder. People that followed previous saves will recognise him. He obviously comes up very good on the spreadsheet for a budget. He's obviously very good for what he does. Couple of solid seasons. The main problem I had with this is he's Brazilian, and League One has 4 non-EU max registered, so I struggled a bit with that. So I decided to take a small loss on the cash in. Sent him back to Brazil. Was happy with his output, happy with the money I got. It's just that I would have kept him, but I couldn't register him. And that was the first season's business. These all went out on frees, loans, nothing exciting there. Where's the 650 grand come from? That's what I'm struggling to see. Sorry, so Maxim non-amateur to Strasbourg, who's gone on to do nothing but play for their second side. So I can't really say I'm missing much though. And that was the first season's transfers. Well, second season transfers, so we'll just go look at how we fared in the table. So, second season, very respectable 8th place in our first season in the league. Was quite happy with that. Finished 8th, 15 wins, 16 losses. Only 10 points off the Europa Conference League spot, which would have obviously been great. Didn't get it, but felt there was a lot to build on there. So again, good season in my opinion. So while we're here, we'll dive across to the next season and we'll go look at that business. So followed that up with a 9th place finish. Slightly more average, less points, less conceded. Very, very average season in 9th. Didn't fall too much away. Was only 8 points off the Europa League spot. Again, progress. So if we just go have a look at the business done, this is what we did second season. Martin Fraser on a free. Since let him go on a free, he was a backup left back. Nothing ventured, nothing gained, nothing lost. Happy enough. Anton Kresic still here. Free transfer. Performed very good for me. Free, and he's been very solid for me at the back. Good signing. I'm cautious, I'm kind of rushing through these a bit, so maybe you can obviously pause the video, but just if you have a look at these players a little bit more. Aka, who's also gone back to Hearts of Oak. Again, arguably a very, very unsuccessful gamble. Spent £1 million on him. Significant investment. Barely played, and when did was incredibly poor. Didn't renew his deal. Back to Ghana. Failed gamble. I said back to Ghana, yeah, technically back to Ghana. Didn't work out. That's what happens sometimes. Took a chance. A very good signing in my opinion. Luke Mbete from City. 700 grand. Performed admirably. Lots of resale value at 22. One of my better players. What's his value? Valued at 5 to 6 million. Easily could get that if I chose to sell him. Again, someone people may recognise from a previous save. Henrique Araújo. Brought him in for 2 mil. Again, done the job for me. Got me a reasonable amount of goals. Played reasonably well. Happy with that business. Sergio Lopez came in as a first choice right back for 700 grand. Again, played well. I think it justified the deal for me. Didn't spend too much. Spent 5.75 this season. Moses, I think, if we touched upon. Didn't last long. Lasted a season. Sold him to Le Havre for the same thing I paid for him. No loss there to me. He's played fairly well at Le Havre, but don't forget that's League 2. I was playing in League 1. Not much to say there. Adrezino brought in 200 grand. Sold him for double for a nice profit after barely featuring. Picked up from Slovakia. This is the thing with the spreadsheet. It finds players in leagues you wouldn't even think to look. Beauty of it. Again, looks okay. Just to think now I've got better players. Quite simply the case. Sold him for more than I paid. Ivan Milosavljevic. That's a nightmare to try and say. 575 grand. Performed very well. Very consistent. Come in and done a job as a good squad player. Happy with the deal. Again from Serbia. Bianda, who you remember was on loan in the first season. Got him also for a second season on loan and then picked him up on a free. And again, he's just been solid. Very, very solid. Great signing for me, especially as Roma paid 5.25 million from Lons and to let him go for free. Was more than happy to have him back. These are all now. What do you call it? Oh, the name escapes me. Youth recruitment. So regions and the like. And then Roberto De La Rosa has come in initially on loan. Didn't feature much purely because that was a season that I had 5 non-EU. So someone had to be sacrificed, and it turns out it was De La Rosa, but there was still enough about him to activate the 1.2 million because, I felt like I could make a profit on him. Again, since Since felt I've got better players, so I'm now looking to move him on, and I've got offers for 1.7 million. So it's paid for the loan, it's paid for the wages, and it's paid for the transfer fee. Get him moved on for a bit of profit. Monaco obviously took a gamble. Burley gave him an effort. I at least played him a bit. That was the De La Rosa signing. Apart from some loans out, Elliot Simons got sold this season, 425 grand. We'll never know if I made profit, but he just wasn't going to play for me, so I might as well take the money. Moroccan lad that's gone out and done well back in Morocco, but he just wasn't getting into the team. I'm sure there's clauses in that as well if he gets sold again. Loans. And Cam Tonga, who I mentioned, who has since gone for the 130. So we'll go look at the league table for this third season. Sorry, I knew there's something I forgot. I'll show you the fixtures. Look at how horrific that October prior to the World Cup was. Didn't get a win from September all the way through to the end of January. Absolutely horrific run of form in that second season. And we still ended up mid-table. But for that, we'd have probably got European football. Finished slightly stronger, but still, I had no idea what this run was. Absolutely horrific. Just thought I'd show it. PSG battered me. Only lost 2-0 at home, but that was the fixtures. So obviously we've seen 23-24. This is 24-25. Spent 1.4 million. Borja Garcia's on a free. Sufanyat Munieta from Thailand. Again, very successful signing. Only issue being takes up an EU slot. That's my only gripe. Another one takes up an EU slot, but been a very successful signing for me. Ruere Blanco. Nice. 2 double-figure hauls. Goalkeeper Manuel Arias. That's a hell of a lot of goals conceded, but he's come in and he's an improvement on what we had. And then these were, as you'd expect, in terms of youth recruitment. This season, Moses went, we touched upon him. Sidibe went, we touched upon him. A couple of second team players that didn't really feature. Loans. So, in terms of this season, if I go back to competitions, schedule. This is how it went that season. Obviously more consistent, but fell apart January and March time, which cost us. But what did we end up in the league? Again, 9th. Fairly average consistency. I think I might have shown you this, to be honest. But as you can see, it's very, very average. Always mid-table, which is fine. But we have to have a couple of years to kind of develop and build up. We're never going to expect to jump straight into some kind of title challenge. That's what happened in that season. So I think it's last but not least. Now we have the present season. This is what we've done. So we made Roberto De La Rosa's deal permanent, as you've seen. We signed Fresco Boschetti, a region from Mans, who has not really featured as much as I've hoped. Got some work to do, but time's on his side. Loaned in Kike Koyate. He did a fairly solid job for us. Paid almost the transfer fee and a loan fee though, but I didn't want to commit to paying a few million. Oriol Busquets came in on loan because Clermont had been relegated. Was solid for us again. Paid a fairly big fee because I didn't want to pay a mandatory. Should have really done it in hindsight, but I didn't have a lot of money. As you see, I've only spent 8.25 million this season. I think I worked it out as something that I've spent no more than 18 million across all 3 seasons, which I think is quite impressive. Armand Calimuendo coming on loan. had a very good season for us from PSG. PSG now I'm in talks to sign him, activate the permanent. Edouard Michut came in after spending at PSG again. Very good player for us last season. Marco Aurelio Gomez, region from Portugal, looks good, but again, it's not featured as much as I've hoped. Still got. I hope he'll be a good player. Marc Olivier Nepe, another region that's come very good for us so far. Played 26 times in his first season. Was a steal from Colne. I was shocked they let him go. I think he'll come good. And obviously these are the youth recruitment that season. So in this last season, Kamandi went, Kabal went, Akem went, Dennis went, Riviere, Lamina Casilla. Basically cleared the decks, got some wages. Adrazino went, Rocca went. But yeah, that's all the recruitment I made. So this is the squad as it stands now. If you think it's improved or not, remember we're a league higher. So the ability and potential will match accordingly. Hags leaving. Some good players in here. Particularly up front, I think I'm fairly strong. As you can see last season, that's a good amount of goals from your midfielders and your front, your strikers. Thought that was good. Last 5, not really giving an accurate reflection, but and as you can see, obviously in the top corner, in this last season, after spending a total of, like I say, 18 or so million, we've gone from mid-table to second. Obviously, we were never really in touch with PSG, but to get second in Champions League football from mid-table kind of mediocrity in League 1, and then obviously prior to that we started in League 2, in 5 seasons. I mean, with Barnsley, you could argue this success was obviously great, but the Premier League grants you a lot of money to spend. And obviously, when you've got that kind of money to spend, it makes this game a lot easier. Don't get me wrong, I'm using a tactic which is quite successful. I'm using a system of recruitment that's proving to be very successful. But still, to spend 18 million to take them to the Champions League from League 2, I think is quite a good, quite a good thing to do in 5 years. Obviously, I won't be continuing the saves to see how they get on. Maybe they will, take a couple of years in the Champions League and develop into regulars. I'm not sure, but the windfall the club will get for it will obviously be beneficial. So if we look at club information again, training facilities, youth facilities have improved to excellent. Not really improved junior or youth recruitment. Youth recruitment slightly. I'd like to have got that more up, but the board were not really keen on the idea. So we've gone 1st, 8th, 9th, 2nd in the 5 years. So there's gradual improvement. We were mid-table for 3 years, but then we jumped forward a few. Leaped forward. Not much more to say really. Finances are obviously not, because I'm yet to receive the windfall from being in the Champions League, so the money's pretty much what it's always been. They gave me 3.6 million for the new season. Obviously they gave me about 9 mil last season, but I felt I invested it well. But the club's obviously in a better place than it was when I started, which is always the aim for me. I'll show you just some of the games that we got here. So 5-4 beat Nice, lost to Villa and Dundee in a friendly tournament. Beat AC Milan though. PSG we drew at home, so you can see the improvement there. French Cup we got 10th round. I think the furthest we got in the French Cup was quarterfinals. But yeah. Again, I'm looking at the wrong season. Being very silly. This is the season to look at. Sorry about that. So yeah, started well, dropped off a bit. PSG we lost to at home this season. What did we do away? Lost to PSG, but PSG, Saint Etienne, Nice, Rennes, and Lyon, and Lorient and Marseille. So we only lost a handful of games, obviously. I thought when I seen the results I was looking at something wrong. But yeah, this is what you can obviously see. We've done really well. We've got second. We've improved season on season almost. The squad's gradually built itself up, and we're now in a position that I've took Nancy to the Champions League. Again, I'm not going to claim it's some amazing achievement too much, because I know that the tactic that we're using for this save is quite a strong tactic. It's proven that over several saves, but I just wanted to keep consistency by keeping the same tactic. It's obviously the same one we used for Barnsley. But the recruitment has literally all come from using the spreadsheet, which I know may not make sense to people at this point, but I promise you there's a video coming where I'll elaborate on it. And yeah, this is Nancy. Ostend is still to come, and then there's, I think, Den Bosch. Other times I'm going to try the challenge web, just see where I can get in 5 years. Obviously I'm starting to go further and further down though, so don't expect a lot of money to spend. So really the recruitment side of it might not come into it as much, because obviously if I've nothing to spend or have no wages, I can't really keep bringing in the constant level of player to improve. But we'll see. That was what I committed to at the start of this series. I'm obviously just hoping that it's proved to be, you know, worth watching, and it's a nice little fun experiment. But yeah, let's just see what they think the best team is. That curiosity. Yeah, it's not far off what I had, but obviously look at that. It's strong. Backline could improve, but again, in time. I'm certainly happy with all my options. I've got Calamio, Blanco, and I think are very good strikers for that league. And I've paid good, reasonable money for them. I've not, for example, gone out and spent 15 million on a player. But yeah, it just proves what you can do on this game if you've got a good tactic and you kind of can make more good decisions in recruitment than bad decisions. Development centre again has been very good. Been quite lucky in the save. I've barely played as much as I should. Staff wise, I've kind of improved it year on year. But yeah, that's really it. Harris average rate got 8.17. That's incredible. Cup, he was on fire in the cup apparently. But yeah, thanks for joining me. This is obviously Colne. Look out for this recruitment, and I will go over how I've been doing it and what have you in that video in a lot more detail. This is just more detailing how Nancy got on. But as always, thanks for joining me. I really hope you're enjoying the content I'm making, and obviously I'll keep looking to do it. Any questions, anything, please don't hesitate to mention in the comments or anything like that. Well, thank you, and hopefully see you next time.